I still have the atlas.
Good job. My
Kids learn from
oldest,
scouts.
like loves just looking at atlases. Like I literally for Christmas last year, I got him a new atlas because the old one was so okay.
Ready to go. Ready to roll. Everyone's ready?
Yeah.
We're going to call this meeting to order, the regular public meeting of the Village Council, the Village of Ridgewood, December 9th, 2020. The time is 8 p.m. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by a posting on the bulletin board in Village Hall, by mail to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled to same as provided by law of his schedule, including the date and time of this meeting. Due to the fact that we continue to meet through a remote meeting format, there are some required announcements to be made. Councilwoman Walsh.
All participants are muted during this meeting. Anyone wishing to make comments may do so during comments from the public and during the public hearings on any ordinances by hitting *9 on your phones to raise your hand, and then once you're recognized, hitting *6 on your phone to unmute, or by raising your hand icon if you are on your computers. You must state your name and address for the record. Members of the public may also submit written comments to us for any future remote meetings by either email to Donna Jackson, Deputy Village Clerk, at djackson@ridgewoodnj.net within the subject line comments for Village Council meeting, or written letter to Donna Jackson, Deputy Village Clerk, at Village Hall. Written comments must be received by 4 p.m. on the day before the remote meeting in order to be read into the record during the meeting. All written comments must adhere to the time limits already set by ordinance. Members of the public commenting during a remote meeting shall not act in any manner to disrupt the meeting. If anyone becomes disruptive during the meeting, they will be muted. If time permits, the disruptive individual shall be allowed to speak after all other members of the public are provided an opportunity to comment. Any continued disruption may result in the member being prevented from speaking during the remainder of the meeting. Disruptive conduct includes, but is not limited to, shouting, interruption, and the use of profanity.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Perrin,
Here.
Councilwoman Reynolds,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Seaton,
Here.
Councilwoman Walsh,
Here.
Mayor Newton.
Here. Please join us for the flag salute. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America.
and to the
to the
republic
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join us in a moment for silence. Men and women serving our nation, our first responders. Thank you. I move the bills, claims, and vouchers and statements of funds on hand as of November 30th, 2020 be accepted as submitted.
Second.
Perrin,
Just briefly, to the extent the bills contain attorney's fees for prosecuting the appeal in Furman versus Maylander, I object to those bills because I don't feel that is a good expense of taxpayer money. And a Third Circuit judge recently said that ballots win elections, not briefs. So with that objection, I will vote in favor.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Newton.
And before I vote, I'll go on the record again to state that the village of Ridgewood was sued by One Village, One Vote based on the village clerk performing her duties ethically, appropriately, and without bias. And we fully support her decision. And if unfortunately a 32-year unblemished record has been tarnished by this unfounded and unjust outcome. So I support the bills and vouchers and appreciate all the work that went into that. Thank you. I move, oh, and yes, that was my yes, in case you didn't get that. Sorry. I move the Village Council minutes of October 7th, October 14th, November 4th, and November 9th, 2020, having been reviewed by the Village Council and now available at the Village Clerk's Office, be approved as submitted.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes. And we now have a proclamation proclaiming January as Radon Action Month, read by Deputy Mayor Schmidt.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas radon is a naturally occurring radioactive gas that is the second leading cause of lung cancer, and whereas prolonged exposure to radon can kill as many as 500 people in New Jersey each year, and whereas families who reside in homes with elevated radon levels are at risk of developing serious health problems, and whereas any home could have high levels even when neighboring homes do not. And whereas radon testing can be done with great ease at a relatively low expense to the homeowner, with the cost of reducing radon concentrations being comparable to a home repair. And whereas the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and the United States Environmental Protection Agency are collaborating during the month of January to promote the need for radon testing in an effort to protect the lives of our state's residents. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village Council, the Village of Ridgewood, and residents of the Village of Ridgewood do hereby proclaim the month of January 2021 as Radon Action Month in the Village of Ridgewood, and call upon all residents who have not yet tested to test their homes for radon and to reduce radon levels if elevated levels are found in order to protect their families from serious health risks of radon.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
You're welcome.
Now we will go to comments from the public, not to exceed 3 minutes per person, 40 minutes in total. Please, when you call, if you have any questions or problems, I guess we just ask them.
All right. I'm Paul in the first person. Paul Fellner.
Please state your name and unmute and state your name and address for the record.
Thanks very much. My name is Paul Fellner. My address is 125 Brookside Avenue here in Ridgewood, of course. My comment tonight concerns the council's decision to spend money and time in litigation to correct the village's own mistake and seemingly undo a democratic vote. That's a misuse of taxpayer money and frankly contrary to democratic principles. In fact, a direct ballot measure manifests the extreme example of true democracy, where each voter, in fact, levers a decision on an issue rather than electing a representative to handle it. So it's really upsetting under those circumstances to see this challenge. And of course, I'm referring to the one vote challenge, election or ballot issue from this election cycle, which carried by nearly 20%. So spending taxpayer dollars in defiance of the will of the majority, particularly when it's the majority's taxpayer dollars that are being spent, is in my mind not an acceptable use of funds. I think it's particularly telling that 13,000 people voted on this issue, which is more than double the number of people who voted in the last village council election. So the fact that we would try to consolidate all these elections and increase voter participation is, in my view, something the village council should be actively supporting and not resisting. So please stop wasting public money to fight a valid election result that has the effect of increasing voter participation, as well as avoiding wasteful use of dollars in off-cycle elections. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul.
All right. Next one is Frank Mortimer.
Hello, it's good to see everybody. Want to thank you for all you're doing. And
Identify yourself and your address.
I'm sorry, Frank Mortimer, 426 Van Buren Street, Village Beekeeper. I wanted to make comments to let you all know about my support of Health Barn. And I have like 5 reasons. My first one is Bee City USA. As you all know, I'm very passionate about that. And part of to make sure that we get accredited every year, that during National Pollinators Week, we have to do different programs to educate the public. And Health Barn has always been a big part of that, both as a partner to help us figure out what we can do to change it up every year, and also that the programs that they offer. So their programs that Health Barn is doing is helping us keep our certification as a bee city. Second, that being a beekeeper and traveling throughout the area, especially in Bergen County, I do a lot of environmental fairs, and at multiple fairs, I get people coming up and I say, oh, I'm in Ridgewood, because, people, where can you keep bees around here? And I say Ridgewood. They'll say, oh, and I've had multiple people say that's where Health Barn is. So in environmental circles, people know Health Barn, and it really brings a lot of positive energy and positive publicity to Ridgewood because Health Barn is located here. Third, as I know that that it was Health Barn helped with Feed the Front Lines. I personally volunteered to help deliver food, and just seeing how thankful the staff at the hospital was when I brought the food to them really made an impact on me. And that was only possible because of the role that Health Barn played. And I know that there's been some talk about having businesses on village property, but from my standpoint, I see a lot of business partners that operate at different times on village property, including all the fairs that go on at Van Nest, the grading concession. And then to me, it's like, if given the economy that where we are today and as many businesses that are shutting down, it just seems that creating a vacancy and losing all the revenue that Health Barn brings in and shares with our town would not be the best business decision. And then finally, as a parent, I'd like to share my personal story that my son has a severe dairy allergy, and he was very hesitant to try any kind of food. And then by participating in Health Barn programs, he saw how it was growing, and he was actually willing to try it, and really changed his diet significantly and made him not afraid of food. So for all those reasons, I'd like to say that I really hope that Health Barn can stay, and I thank you all for your consideration.
Thank you, Frank. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Frank, I've got a big cup of tea here with your honey in it.
Yes, we still need to trade for eggs.
I know. Come over anytime.
Okay, we're not bartering during a village council meeting. Let's move on.
Next is Hans.
Okay.
Inman?
Your name and address for the record.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, my name is Hans-Jürgen Lehmann, 234 Union Street. I recently had a letter published in the Bergen Record, and I thought for the record, I would read it into the record of the village council meeting. Here it goes. Regarding Ridgewood Files appeal over November vote to consolidate elections, I write, Ridgewood is continuing to fight the one village, one vote court decision. What is wrong with government in our village? One, hope against hope. Certain council members continue to expend tax dollars on legal fees to fight one village, one vote. The courts have decided in favor of the vote on the referendum this past November, and the voters of Ridgewood spoke in favor of one village, one vote by a wide margin. Two, the council approved a parking garage that cost $12.5 million for fewer spaces than a prior proposal for $11.5 million. Three, cost overruns at the Shedler property for a house with no stated future purpose. Four, acquisition of the former VFW building next to the library for millions of dollars of taxpayer money, with additional millions to come for remediation and renovation. Five, streets are increasingly in disrepair. Some are now overwhelmed with wet leaf piles that are well past their pickup dates. Drive out of Ridgewood into Glen Rock, Fairlawn, or Paramus, and you will see the difference in how roads should look. Six, why is the council discussing a gun range that no one wants? Who authorized the expenditure of $10,000 for a site study, and then an additional $5,000 for another possible site? This is a waste of taxpayer dollars for no good purpose. Seven, the council authorized a $10,000 expenditure for a public relations consultant, Julie Parker Communications, to handle media relations for our police department after events that put the village in a negative light. Really? We couldn't handle this in-house? Simply put, this is a pattern of fiscal irresponsibility that results in undue burdens on the taxpayers of Ridgewood. And on a separate note, I would like once again to ask the council to please bring the discussion about the health bond into public session rather than discussing it behind closed doors. Thank you for listening.
Have a good evening, Hans.
Thank you.
All right, next is Tom Schmidt.
Good evening, everyone. This is Tom Schmidt, 326 Heights Road. I think the prior speakers are much more eloquent than I'll be, so I'll just add my voice and state my disappointment that we're continuing to spend our tax dollars to basically overturn the clear will of the people that all of you were elected to represent. I mean, it's hard to fathom how we can have an election, an overwhelming decision, and then those that we elect decide to overturn the will of the people. So I know what you're saying on face is the reason. It doesn't seem to fly with reality. So I just simply urge you to please drop the appeal and let's no longer waste money and see how this turns out over the next couple of years with a consolidated vote. That's really all I have to say. Hopefully you'll do what we all ask, which is drop the appeal. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good evening.
All right. Next one is Yvonne Nava.
Good evening, Yvonne. Please state your name and address for the record.
Yvonne Nava, 227 Burnside Place. And I'm here tonight regarding Health Barn, requesting that the topic of the lease renewal gets discussed in a public session. And I come here in two capacities. The first one, similar to Mr. Frank Mortimer, from a sustainability aspect. I belong to the Green Ridgewood Committee, and I know how important Health Barn activities, like as an example, the beekeeping, is to our sustainability efforts, our certifications, and just overall all the efforts that Health Barn does in regards to the community generate many, many important points towards our certification. The second capacity, I come here as a mom. I moved to Ridgewood 3 years ago, like many other parents, looking for a good education for my daughter. She's an 8-year-old attending Travel School in 3rd grade. But beyond just the public education, one thing that was very important to us was also the extracurricular activities. And we have found in Health Barn a really, really special place. My daughter has a passion for cooking, which it doesn't get from me. But in Health Barn, she's found a place where she can learn so much more beyond just cooking. She can learn about nutrition. She can learn about where food is coming from. And the values that she's gotten from this place are invaluable to us. So again, I'm just here to request that this topic gets into the public agenda in order that we can rally community support for this very important place. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Have a good evening.
All right. Next person is Dan Kelly.
Good evening, Dan. Name and address for the record.
Hi, it's Dan Kelly, 974 Hillcrest Road, Ridgewood. This is a repeat of my comments from a prior meeting. As I learned, my comments may not have been recorded or reflected on the record. So first and foremost, thank you, Council. Thanks for affording me the opportunity to speak. And really, thank you for all your time and effort serving our community. I applaud your energy and your resolve. So thank you. 2 quick thoughts on Health Barn. There's an old adage about being a landlord, and it goes something to the tune of being a landlord is a young person's job and you are too old. And I think that statement rings true because tenants can be very challenging and demanding. But if I think about that adage, how it pertains to Health Barn being a tenant occupying a village property to the tune of $50,000 a year, I think having Health Barn is an absolute no-brainer. This is a tenant that pays her rent on time. She gives back to Ridgewood, feeds the community, old, young, those who are ill, kids with cancer and their parents at Valley. She doesn't play loud music. She doesn't have keg parties, but she does educate adults and children on healthy eating, some of whom happen to be people of color or have some challenges. This is a home run tenant, and we are not too old for a tenant like this. My second thought is Health Barn is a woman-owned small business. It's a successful small business, woman-owned. And she employs people, she gives people jobs. She recognizes the need for diversity, and it's reflected in her hiring practices. The purpose of Health Barn is to educate people on healthy eating. That's it. That's that simple. She also has a beautiful garden filled with fresh vegetables and chamomile that lights up Habernickel. So having worked on Wall Street for over 30 years, I've observed how difficult the challenge is for women when they're trying to be successful, climb the corporate ladder, get ahead in business. and it still isn't easy for them. So thankfully, the best firms, Wall Street firms, law firms, banks, have recognized this fact, so much so that they demand diversity not only on their board of directors, but also from the board of directors of companies they underwrite, represent, or finance. They demand a level playing field. A vote no on renewing Health Barn's lease is a vote against diversity. It's that simple. A vote no is a setback to our village and to societal equality. So I'll leave you with this one question. How are we supposed to attract more small businesses, or if we need more county or bank financing or legal representation in Ridgewood, when the headlines at NewJersey.com or The Record or Star Ledger read, Village of Ridgewood votes no on renewal lease to woman-owned small business? Think about it. It's your vote. Think about how your vote reflects on our constituency. Think about how it reflects on you personally, your political career or aspirations, and let's just have an open session and an open dialogue. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay. Next person is Elaine Paneno.
Unmute and state your name and address for the record.
Hi, yes, I'm Elaine Panino, 719 Maxwell Place in Ridgewood. One of the best towns in the USA. My dad used to tell me when I was growing up. And here I am 67 years later, more aware that it's not just tree-lined streets, amazing downtown, well-kept lawns and homes, but it's the people and the organizations they support, like Health Barn USA and its foundation Healing Meals, that actually accomplish this. When I retired after being a nurse for 54 years, I wanted to channel my passion for cooking to support the community I so loved as a volunteer. While sitting in my dentist chair 2 years ago, telling how I was on a search, she excitedly explained that her 2 children had learned about healthy growing and eating in classes run by Health Barn USA. And she described the Habernickel property and the house and the bucolic setting and the vital flower and the vegetable gardens, etc. And she went on to explain about Healing Meals also, and which is Health Barn Foundation, and how they cooked for the underserved people in our town and community. So excitedly, I contacted Stacy Antine. Of course, she's the dynamic founder. And as they say, the rest is history. How could I not assist with such activities as preparing meals for families of children with cancer at the local hospitals, Ridgewood Senior Housing, Share, Jamboree, Ridgewood Social Services, Thanksgiving dinners, et cetera, et cetera. And how could I ignore an organization that partnered early COVID with Feed the Frontlines in raising $100,000 to help keep Ridgewood's restaurant community afloat, to provide meals for frontline heroes at Ridgewood EMS, Ridgewood Police, and the Valley Hospital, and the Broad Street families following the devastating Bagelicious fire. Even as I prepared this appeal, I'm stymied that anyone could develop a reason to move such an indispensable organization from this setting, and probably from our town. Frequently, I go to Habernickel and I see masked children giggling and chatting on the back deck, preparing food as they grow our COVID-plagued summer, and as they grow during these COVID-plagued summer and fall in Habernickel. And I see the children busy weeding and picking vegetables. And any parent knows that getting a child to eat fresh vegetables can appreciate what is going on here. As a fellow resident and taxpayer, I have an obligation to encourage private partnerships like this one, ones that help ease the tax burden on homeowners like myself, who in turn support businesses that are invested in this town. As I've said, I cannot fathom a rational reason for removing this tenant from Habernickel Park. In summary, $60,000 in capital improvements in the original horse farm, putting the public Habernickel property to good use that also generates over $50,000 annually for our village via rent and recreational programming.
I'm sorry.
Actively assisting in feeding the underserved without asking for any return. This is the program that proudly boasts its location in Ridgewood. Please do not let another town reap the benefits of this gift that Health Barn gives us today. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right. Next person says Wells. Wheels.
Sorry, that's me. This is Lori Weil, 262 McKinley Place. The majority of Ridgewood residents voted to consolidate our elections because it simply makes sense. Off-cycle elections cost money, and it seems that too often we're holding another election that pits our residents against one another. I decided to speak this evening to encourage you to accept the results of the referendum and to move on. The vast majority of municipalities have elections in the fall. Residents do their civic duty and become informed of local issues, and they come out and they vote. Ridgewood is a special place, but we don't need to be special for how we run our elections. Our village residents have spoken. The majority of the voters in this town are tired of the vitriol on social media whenever there is election. There's so many of us who are tired of the personal attacks against benevolent volunteers like yourselves. It's time to accept the vote, end the divisiveness, and focus our village on more important issues that we are facing. Right now, the council's top priority should be supporting our downtown and finding creative ways to make up for revenue shortfalls that are continuing to mount due to the pandemic. Now is not the time to spend resources and incur legal fees challenging the results of the referendum. I urge you to focus on the important issues in our village, our economic health, the health of our residents, our schools, the traffic, our roads, land development, community relations, emergency services. There are so many really important issues that deserve your attention. As our elected officials, you should not be distracted by a vocal minority. You should be governing for the majority, a majority who voted to consolidate the elections. And you should be looking to save us money, not spend it on frivolous legal challenges. Thank you very much.
We have a good evening.
All right. Next person is Jeffrey Dice.
Hi, my name is Jeffrey Deese, and I live on 277 Orchard Place. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. And I joined this meeting to oppose the litigation to fight against the results of the One Village, One Vote referendum. So currently, I'm attending college out of state, and I had the option to register out of state to vote, but I saw the opportunity to have an impact on my home community by registering to vote in New Jersey and voting on this referendum to consolidate the elections. So it's kind of disheartening to see litigation being filed to fight against this when it's clear that the public of Ridgewood has spoken in support of it. So there are two main reasons that I encourage you to accept the results of the referendum. For one is the democratic principles behind it. So it is clear with the overwhelming majority of people that voted to consolidate the elections that this is what the people of Ridgewood want. And I was saddened to see that when I came back home from college that there's people trying to appeal this decision. And I don't want to bring any like partisan federal politics into this, but it's especially disheartening to see this when we have democracy in question at a federal level, to see this happening at a local level. And the second reason that I encourage you to oppose the litigation is because on one hand, running separate unconsolidated elections costs large amounts of taxpayer money, but also going into a legal battle against the results of the referendum will cost large amounts of taxpayer money. So those are the reasons that I think the results of the referendum should be accepted, and I appreciate you letting me speak here tonight.
Great. Thank you, Jeffrey. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right. Next person up is Roar Calaby.
Good evening. Name and address for the record.
Yeah, good evening. Rorik Halaby, 374 Evergreen Place. I have a set of questions on Shedler and a comment on the municipal question. My question on Shedler is, how can we get an accounting of the monies that were spent on Shedler? My understanding is that $1.5 million of public funds have been spent already, and the Schedler house is far from being finished, let alone clearing the property, which unfortunately looks literally like a dump with these big piles of dirt, etc. So my questions are, what has been spent so far? What is the budget for the rest of the work? What do we expect from matching grants? We keep on hearing about matching grants. Where is the money? What will the house be used for? And what is the budget for operating it? I don't know how to get this information. I'm sure it's available. I'm sure Bob Rooney has the information. I'd like to get it as a taxpayer. Now, as far as the municipal question, I would say that the mayor's continuing effort to overturn the municipal question vote is a slap in the face of the residents of Ridgewood. As you know, some 13,000 people out of 19,000 registered voters in Ridgewood voted on this issue. Of these, almost 60% voted yes, and 41% voted no. A resounding vote in favor of combining the elections in November. The mayor's machinations.
I'm going to call a point of order, Mr.
A point of order to you, ma'am, because you're interrupting me. Don't interrupt me.
Call a point of order.
Ma'am, I keep on going. The mayor's machinations are an embarrassment and a horrible waste of valuable village resources.
Okay.
I asked the village council to force the mayor to withdraw the appeal. Let's get on with it.
Point of order.
As the Pennsylvania judge stated, when he threw out the Trump suit, ballots, not briefs, decide elections. And let me tell you about point of order, if I may. We're supposed to address the dais. The dais doesn't lie. The dais doesn't cheat. It doesn't dissemble. It doesn't mislead. Various members who sit behind the dais do. And frankly, how can you address these people sitting behind the dais when they do these bad things without addressing them? So don't tell me a point of order, because this is a point of order for you for interrupting me. I can tell you, no one is going to stop me from expressing my views. No one is going to take away my rights under the First Amendment. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, next person is Stacy Fleisch.
Hi, Stacy, name and address for the record.
Good evening. This is Stacy Cleash. I live at 339 South Van Deen Avenue. I spoke at a village council meeting about a month ago requesting that the negotiations and decision regarding the health barn lease that's coming up in 2022 and any other conversation regarding that property and lease to someone else or wherever it may go be moved into the public part of the meeting, and it has continued to be discussed in closed session. I don't understand why that is, and I hope to see that it be moved to the public portion of the meeting before the next meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stacy. Have a good evening.
And that was our last one.
Great. Go
I
ahead.
have some written comments that were sent in.
Oh.
The first is from Mary Tagliabue. I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly. I'm sorry. It's 129 Woodbine Avenue. I am writing on behalf of Stacy Antine and the Health Barn. I have been a customer and volunteer of the Health Barn and Health Barn Foundation for approximately 10 years. My daughters have attended camp, educational Girl Scout meetings, and they now volunteer. I was also instrumental in bringing Stacy to Ridge School for a healthy eating assembly. Stacy Antine is an exemplary person and is exactly the type of person you want owning a business in our town. The Health Barn's core mission is teaching the fundamentals of good nutrition for a healthy life in a fun and impactful way. Good nutrition is a lesson that will impact the children of our community for a lifetime. You cannot say that about many of the activities that our children spend countless hours doing, like gaming. It is her life's work to help educate children to help lower the amount of childhood obesity in this country. Her adult programming is also exceptional. In addition, she is the founder of the Health Barn Foundation that prepares and delivers healthy meals to senior homes in our town. as well as 2 local hospitals for families receiving chemo treatments. I cannot for the life of me understand why our town would be against the Health Barn. The Health Barn is exactly the type of business and person you want in Ridgewood. She speaks to what's important to the families in our town and represents Ridgewood beautifully, and her business is also a revenue source for the town. Sadly, our village has given her a hard time from the beginning. I would like to understand after almost 5 years why the village is still against her. I certainly hope you will find the time to truly understand the heroic work that Stacy Antine does each and every day. We should be tremendously proud of her and proud that she wants to run her business in our town. The next one is from Jacqueline Dartley, 525 Van Dyke Street. I'm writing in support of Stacy Antine and the Health Barn as a 30-year resident of Ridgewood and a full-time professor of biology at Bergen Community College. The Health Barn has become a unique institution in Ridgewood. No other town has a resource like this one. It provides invaluable education to children and adults of all ages regarding nutrition, agriculture, cooking, and healthy eating. I'm a full professor at Bergen Community College and know of no other organization in Bergen County that provides what the Health Barn does to our community. Ridgewood's distinctiveness is based on a wonderful combination of suburban and country flavor. The Health Barn adds to both these qualities in a manner that would be irreplaceable if it were forced out of our town. When my children were younger, I took them to the Health Barn, where they were first introduced to gardening, gathering, and cooking. As a BCC professor, I have brought my botany class to the Health Barn each semester. There, my students learn about the connection between nature, nutrition, and community. I believe that the Health Barn's offerings bring values to the community that contributes to the reasons why people are attracted to living here. And the last one is from Lisa Gardner, 714 Parsons Road. Good evening. This is from Lisa Gardner, 714 Parsons Road. I'm a member of Access Ridgewood. I have a son who is now 24 years old with special needs, and I am calling to voice my concern about the possibility of Health Barn's lease not renewing. Health Barn has wonderful programs for children, special needs children, and the elderly. They strive to teach each of them healthy eating habits and gardening. My son Nicholas has been part of the latest culinary program for disabled young adults. Each Thursday for 12 weeks, they go to Health Barn, they pick their own vegetables in the garden, and they make themselves a meal. For my son, this is a time for him to socialize with other young adults just like him. He also lives in supportive housing and cooks for himself, so this program is essential. His new favorite breakfast is a broccoli rabe omelet. The entire program is at no cost. I can't say enough wonderful things about the program in Health Barn. As part of Access Ridgewood, I can also say that Stacy, the owner, has been very generous to our committee. I also have 7 children. The youngest is 15 and 6 of them are boys. Needless to say, we have played many, many baseball games at Habernickel over the years. Since Health Barn has taken over, the area is so much nicer. The grounds have been cleaned up, there is a beautiful garden, and the house itself looks beautiful. Health Barn has done nothing but good for the community and also generates revenue for Ridgewood. I feel if their lease is not renewed, it would be a great loss to all of us. That's all I have.
Really quick, we got one more raised hand during the reading of those on the public.
All right, just this will be the last one because we'll be meeting.
Kathy Marshall.
Kathy, name and address for the record.
Hi, everybody. Kathy Marshall, 136 Linden Street. Thank you all for your service, as always. I served for over 6 years on the Village's Park and Recreation Commission back when we purchased Shedler. And I also have a lot of ties to Habernickel, and it has a place in my heart. My son completed his Eagle Scout project there, installing the flagpole and the Heroes Garden. And I have a tree dedicated to me there because of my service on Parks and Rec. So I have spent a tremendous amount of time there, both before and after Health Barn entered the picture. And in fact, was spending a lot of time there when we had 2 houses on the property. Both were rented to private families. And we tore one down to put up a parking lot for the sports field. And the second home was rented to a family. And unfortunately, was in arrears on the rent. And I don't know if they ever really paid their taxes, but it was not a financial benefit to the village. And the house had fallen into a state of disrepair that was disappointing to see when we did my son did the work on the Eagle project, and also a high school student did work on installing the butterfly garden, and the playground was installed there. All things that have made it a beautiful place for families to hang out. And I think I've taken classes at Health Barn. I've seen lots of kids there. I've toured the garden there. I've led walking tours there for Ridgewood walks program. And I believe that Health Barn adds a benefit to the village, and that public-private partnerships are really the only way that we're going to be able to maintain properties on our public lands. I also am familiar with the green space requirements for tenants that go into those properties, and they are onerous. They take a long time, and it took, I think, Health Barn 9 or 10 months to get approval for their tenancy there from the Green Acres. So I would encourage you to consider all of those factors as you look at possible future tenancy at Habernickel. And the last thing I would like to say is that with Shedler, I'm disappointed that the passive and active recreational plans that were developed 10 years ago when we purchased that property have not been further implemented and executed. And I would like to see a public-private partnership there to raise funds for the development of that area for park goers on the other side of 17 who are without open space and green space to access on that side of town. And the last thing I'll say is that I encourage you to honor the democratic process and the conceptual belief of the majority of voters in this town who voted to consolidate elections. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Have a good evening.
Okay. Very good. With that, we'll close public comments, and I'm just going to make respond to a couple things here. I just want to be clear with everybody that we are not doing lease negotiations in closed session for Health Barn. Health Barn, the discussion for Health Barn was whether or not the tenant wanted to exercise a 1-year option. That was her right to do, and she opted to do so. So it's unclear to me where this information is coming from, where this misinformation is being generated from, but we are not discussing lease negotiations or anything behind closed doors. The bottom line is we go through an RFP process, and that is the process that was implemented in 2015 that Health Barn responded to. And that is the process we will be required to go through again for the next round, if that's how we choose to proceed. But there are no lease negotiations going on. There's no termination of a lease. And wherever this information is coming from, it's a grave disservice to the community to have this continued misinformation be circulated about. And you know, really it's nothing of the sort. So, and the second thing is, and we'll go back to the litigation. I think that this is a matter of group and entity that sued the Village of Ridgewood. Again, I said it earlier and I'll say it again. They sued the village. It was not the village's mistake on the petition. It was One Village, One Vote's mistake and errors on the petition that the village clerk deemed to be deficient based on those errors. And she performed her duties honorably and appropriately. So, and this isn't, you know, really something that tarnished her 32-year career on a person that has served the village community well and with care and you know, a person who loves this community. So I think it's really important to understand and know the facts about what this litigation involves. And with that, we'll go to the.
I'd like to say something. I think the issue becomes what happens to the gatehouse at the end of the current lease.
I was only offering clarification that that's not what's going on. It's not a matter of anything else. It's just a matter of what is being circulated, the misinformation. The misinformation is that we are not in lease negotiations behind closed doors. And there was an opportunity for the tenant to exercise her option to extend her lease for the year, and she chose to do so. And that is the information that's relevant. There are no lease negotiations going. I am responding to the misinformation that's being circulated and what was being stated here this evening.
There is no misinformation.
Okay. With that, we'll go on to the village manager's report. Heather?
All right. So the Village of Ridgewood's Downtown for the Holidays event has a revised plan due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Social distancing and face masks will be required. It will be held this Friday, December 11th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. As you stroll on the sidewalks of the Central Business District, we welcome you to view the village Christmas tree at the corner of East Ridgewood Avenue and Broad Street, which will be glowing with lights. The trees in Memorial Park of Van Ness Square and at Station Plaza will be decorated with festive ornaments donated by residents, businesses, groups, and organizations. Look at the beautifully decorated windows of our stores and restaurants. Stop by the Kids Corner with a drawing of the Grinch to take home and submit for a prize. There will be music through the area. And also there will be mimes and dancers from Heart in Motion and Art in Motion Studio and Dance Theater in store windows. Santa Claus will be in Panico's from 6 to 8 p.m. and the Grinch will be appearing on various rooftops throughout the Central Business District. See if you can find them. Our stores and eateries welcome you as we all join together to start the holiday season. There will also be a Grinch hunt because we don't want the Grinch to spoil the holidays in Ridgewood. The Grinch can be found through December 21st in 28 of our local stores and eateries on both the east side and west side of the Central Business District. When you find the Grinch in a store or eatery, you will provide your contact information to be entered into a prize drawing to win one of the Grinches to bring home with you. The more Grinches that you see, the more entries you will receive for the prize drawing. Only one entry per person for each business or eatery. The deadline for entries is December 21st. Beginning December 10th, the lights of the menorah will shine at Memorial Park at Venice Square. There will be no gathering or event during Hanukkah this year. There's a regional community drive-through COVID-19 testing at Bergen Community College, Lot B, a few days each week during the month of December. Testing is from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. until December 30th. Pre-registration is required. Further details are on the village website. I want to remind everyone that there's free parking in the parking lots on Saturdays on December 12th and the 19th. And that also includes the new Hudson Street parking garage. Street parking remains at $1.25 an hour during this event. Payment must be made at the parking. The other thing is to remind you is that the parking area near the Christmas tree and also the parking area over on the west side where you enter by McMurphy's restaurant, those you must pay in. Those are not parking lots, they're parking areas, and so you must pay, and it's actually $1.25 an hour. We're also collecting toiletries, new unused toiletries for those in need. They can be dropped off through December 17th at the YMCA, Bookends, Araya Rebirth, Hillman Lighting, Chestnut Catering, the AT&T store on Route 17, and the Ridgewood Library. As we know, the Hudson Street Garage is open. It's open on all levels. It's $1 an hour. First level is limited to 3-hour parking. Second and third levels, premium Ridgewood parking permits. Fourth level is half dedicated to non-premium parking permits and half for CBD employees. The CBD employees must have a CBD employee sticker, and people can pay by Park Mobile or by CBD employee hang tag, or all levels from 12 noon forward are open to anyone. You don't need a hang tag, you don't need a permit, and you can park there for 3 hours. You must pay the kiosk or pay by Park Mobile. There are complimentary parking spaces in the CBD. They're for 15 minutes. They're on Oak Street, Chestnut Street, North Broad Street, and those are all off of East Ridgewood Avenue, and then Woolsey Square on the west side. These parking spaces, again, are limited to 15 minutes. They're free of charge to anyone and everyone, and are to be used to do a quick errand or pick up food or visit a business. They have been generously donated and sponsored by several local businesses and Ridgewood residents, and they are acknowledged on the sign for the 15-minute parking places. I want to mention that our food recycling pilot program is getting underway. Obviously, food is one of the largest parts of our solid waste stream, and we pay to send food trash to the landfill, and the costs are increasing. Although some residents compost their organic waste at home, most do not. This pilot program offers an expanded option for food waste disposal, providing a means to include residents who are unable to do backyard composting or who will continue backyard composting, but would also like to recycle items that are not compatible with backyard composting. So if you're interested in participating in the food waste recycling pilot program, you're asked to plan ahead, but also to fill out an application. You will be given a 5-gallon food scrap collection container, and it will be emptied at the recycling center by you every week, along with a weekly data entry from each participant. Anyone interested should contact the recycling center and ask for an application to participate. The program will begin in the next 3 to 6 weeks, and participants are requested to participate for at least 9 months. The 2020 leaf collection placement schedule is on that yellow postcard you received at the beginning, probably early October. We are continuing. We are a little bit behind, but we are continuing to pick up leaves. Please do not place them in the street past those leaf placement dates. And we will get all of the leaves up, and hopefully before we get some real snow. I know we had some flurries today. I'm hopeful we'll get everything up before it snows. The Welcome Back to Ridgewood, New Jersey event, again, has been put on hold until the weather warms up in 2021. Cards of Joy, writing letters and cards to those who may need cheer or alone during the holidays is an easy way to make a big difference. Recipients love it when cards are detailed, thoughtful, and heartfelt. Completed cards can be dropped off at the Ridgewood Library by December 11th. Upcoming Village Council meetings are broadcast live, as well as live streamed, as well as on Swagit. January 6th, 2021 is our first Village Council Public Works session. January 13th is our Village Council public meeting at 8 o'clock. And January 27th is our next Village Council Public Works session. Again, the work sessions begin at 7:30. The public meetings begin at 8 o'clock. There is a meeting at 7:30 on a public meeting night. However, that's really to review the agenda. We do provide for public comment at all meetings, but if you do want your comments in the main minutes for that, for the public meeting, please wait until 8 o'clock to make them. I want to remind you that all village offices will be closed on December 24th and 25th in observance of the Christmas holiday, and also on January 1st in observance of the New Year's holiday. There will be no garbage or recycling collection on December 25th and January 1st, and the recycling center will be closed, but garbage and recycling collection will take place on December 24th, and the recycling center will be open. And that's all I have. Just on behalf of the village, I'd like to wish everyone a very happy holiday season.
Thank you. And we'll move on to council reports. Councilwoman Perrin.
I'll defer mine to Councilman Walsh, and I'll reserve mine for later.
Until when would you like to go? Did you want, it's your turn to do your council report.
Well, I was going to have Councilman Walsh go first.
I'll do my report first.
Go ahead.
So I don't have any council reports, but on behalf of my family and myself, I just want to thank Dr. Fishbein for his commitment to our community, and I want to acknowledge some of his accomplishments. Dr. Fishbein has served with distinction as Ridgewood Public Schools Superintendent from 2008 through 2020, and is known for his energy, passion for education, love of children, compassion, and humility. He was instrumental in bringing full-day kindergarten to Ridgewood by engaging community members in discussions to understand why such instruction made educational sense for Ridgewood's young learners. Under his leadership, the district improved the special education program, of which my oldest participated, such that fewer Ridgewood residents are educated out of district, and a new program for 18 to 21-year-olds was launched. During Dr. Fishbein's tenure, the district was able to build a new gym at George Washington Middle School, install a new track and field stadium at Ben Franklin Middle School, lay turf fields for athletics, create drop-off lanes that were safe, replace roofs, floors, windows, and upgrades to school security. Dr. Fishbein enhanced environmental sustainability through the installation of solar panels at 8 school buildings, the planting of trees, which I helped him plant one at Travell School, and minimizing cafeteria waste. His understanding of social and emotional learning led to the expansion of in-school counseling services, including the addition of crisis counseling services. Dr. Fishbein also embraced the National Alliance on Mental Health's Stigma-Free initiative. I'm one of the liaisons now to the Stigma-Free for the Village, which strives to change the way the world views mental health. And I just want to wish him good luck in his retirement and happy holidays to everybody in the Village of Ridgewood.
Thank you, Councilwoman Walsh. Councilwoman Perrin.
Yes, I'll start with my statement about Dr. Fishbein, whose leadership through the 2020 pandemic led to early preparations for a shutdown, and his weekly emails to Ridgewood Public School families provided comfort, critical information, and welcome humor during dark and uncertain days. His steady guidance through reopening in the fall allowed Ridgewood schools to open with both in-person and remote learning options. The teachers and administrators admire Dr. Fishbein for his fair, unbiased hiring practices and his positive leadership in building a team that works well together while maintaining the school district's tradition of excellence. Dr. Fishbein, a longtime resident of Ridgewood and the father of 5 Ridgewood High graduates, is now retiring. Therefore, I gratefully acknowledge his outstanding service to our community and recognize his unwavering support of the public school district's children, parents, teachers, and administrators. The Chamber of Commerce met this morning. One retailer who parks his car in the garage noted that on the 2nd and 3rd levels, there are very, very few cars. And he wondered if the 3 top levels could be opened to 12-hour parking so that there would be more usage. I should also alert you that the president of the Chamber of Commerce, Scott Leaf, is going to finish out his term, but he's not going to serve after that. And so there will be a new president as of July 1st. The restaurant report was what you would expect. Pickup and delivery are imperative at this point. And they asked that grab and go, the 15 minutes, be strictly enforced, because they noted that sometimes trucks and contractors are parking there for well over the 15-minute limit, and that's not what those spots are for. And they also mentioned that landlords in town are reducing their rents in order to keep tenants. And there are almost no tenants that are paying full rent at this point. So I did want to alert everyone to that. And let's see. Green Ridgewood, we met last week, and we are hoping that our website can be migrated over to WordPress so that it can be linked to the village website. There will be a styrofoam collection on December 26th. That's in Hillsdale. The first hour is only for Hillsdale residents, and then from 10:30 to 12:30, we can go as other county residents can go. There will be another styrofoam collection on January 2nd in Fairlawn. Note, this is not the kind of styrofoam that you might get takeout food in. This is the big extruded things that is for packing. Ridgewood will be doing its own styrofoam collection in the spring. And I mention this so that you can hoard it until that time. And let's see, we have in Green Ridgewood a subcommittee on leaf blowers to see what can be done about that noise, pollution, and the potential harm to the workers who use them. We have a long road ahead of us in terms of research and investigation. The composting pilot, yes, we are very excited about that in town. And you can apply online. If you go to the tab that says departments and then go down to DPW and then to recycling, you can apply right online. So it's very easy. And our next meeting will be January 7th. Oh, and we also agreed at the last meeting that council, we would like to recommend to council that they consider a renewable energy aggregating program. And to that end, we have arranged for Gable Associates, which is a consulting firm, to speak to council at the next meeting on January 6th. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Reynolds.
Hi, thank you, Mayor. So I had no committee meetings since our last council meeting last Wednesday, but next week there'll be 2 meetings. On Tuesday, the planning board will be meeting, and on Thursday, Citizen Safety Advisory Committee will be meeting for our very first Zoom session, so it should be exciting. And I just wanted to wish everybody a wonderful holiday season and a happy new year. And I hope everyone stays healthy and safe. Be careful and be smart. Thanks.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. The citizens, the Community Center Advisory Board met on Thursday, and the Community Center has been closed to the public along with the rest of Village Hall. But Deanna Shablik and village employees are assisting residents who were in some of the programs. So they're trying to help them set up Zoom meetings to do their exercise classes and different things that they were doing in the community center, so that now they could do it in their homes online while everything's closed down until we could reopen again. And then the holiday party, the annual holiday party, will be held again via Zoom this year on December 17th. And information, Deanna Shablik would have information on how to join and participate. I think it might be emailed out to council members who are usually invited to the event. Then after that, Green Ridgewood met, Green Ridgewood and the Green Team met. So a lot of items were discussed. I had to leave that meeting a little bit early, but the Green Team continues to get organized for next year's submission to Sustainable Jersey. And we're going to work on hopefully keeping our silver certification throughout that process. After that, the Ridgewood Arts Council met for the first time really in months. And the committee is going to reorganize and get back on track. Our next meeting and continuing, we'll meet the second Thursday of every month. The next meeting will be January 14th at 7:30 p.m. But the Ridgewood Arts Council was, we had members led by Audrey Fink, the chair, were able to continue the third annual holiday window decoration contest for downtown. And I'd like to announce the winners for that contest. Laura Selly Salon won on Godwin Avenue on the west side of Ridgewood. Biltmore Tuxedo was also in there as one of the winners, and they are on East Ridgewood Avenue. And down on Chestnut Street, Ray Soul Coffee, a newer coffee shop, won as the three winners for the third annual holiday decoration contest that the Ridgewood Arts Council helped put together. And the first place winner got a nice award. And we went out on Friday and handed them out. Sherry Frank and Dana Glazer and Audrey Fink and myself and my son Hunter and Dana's puppy all kind of walked around downtown Ridgewood. It was one of the more interesting awards presentations that I was involved in, but we came through mostly unscathed and handed out the awards and spread a little Christmas cheer to everyone. So, and then the Shade Tree Commission met yesterday, but there were some issues with the village server and Optimum. So I was unable to join that meeting because I couldn't access my emails or get the invitation or the link. So I will get the update in the minutes and report on what happened there at our next meeting. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. So I actually don't have any committee meetings to report on, committees to report on. I did want to speak about also Dan Fishbein. So for the past 4 years, the village manager and I have been meeting every month religiously with members of the Board of Education, president, vice president, and the superintendent. And that's always been with a council colleague. And this year, although we haven't met often, it's been Councilman Walsh. I just want to say that Dan and I didn't always agree on everything, but he always really had good coffee, and the coffee was always ready to roll early in the morning. And we did manage to work together on a number of initiatives that were successful and ensured the health, safety, and well-being of district students. And obviously the challenges of COVID-19 were very stressful on everyone. And so we look forward to working with the new superintendent. We wish Dan the very best. We would like to point out that the current Board of Education has initiated a survey to develop a leadership profile. It's a community-wide survey to develop this leadership profile so that a baseline is established in the superintendent search. I know that that is being sent by email. It's posted on social media. It will go out in our Ridgewood e-news. I'm posting it elsewhere. We encourage everyone to participate in this survey. It is, again, community-wide, and it is intended to really find the very best leadership now for the Ridgewood Public School District, which is obviously one of the best in the nation. And so we look forward to participating, and we look forward to who their selection in the future will be. But once again, we do wish Dan all the very best in his retirement. Instincts tell me he's not going to actually be retiring. He'll be quite busy. Downtown for the holidays. Everybody really need to get downtown, take a look at the beautiful windows. Thanks to the Ridgewood Arts Council, as always, for encouraging everyone to participate. The windows are magnificent. I have to say this year's tree is, I think, the most beautiful I've ever seen. It is absolutely magnificent. And this is actually the tree right behind me. We're asking everyone during COVID-19, as many of our businesses, local businesses, have grappled with the challenges of making ends meet. Many have their life savings tied up into their small businesses. We ask everyone, if you're shopping and have the opportunity and the inclination to do so, please shop local, shop Ridgewood, downtown for the holidays this week. It is a extremely COVID-friendly approach this year, scaled back, but still fun and festive and wonderful. And we do have a Grinch, and everyone could go around and find the Grinch, and there's a little heart, Ridgewood 2020. And we don't want the Grinch to steal our holidays. Councilwoman Perrin was actually willing to sew every one of these hearts on, but we decided to tie them. They're actually adorable. It's a 12-inch Grinch. And if you find the Grinch, spot him hidden in any one of the downtown locations, you get to fill out a Grinch ticket, and there'll be a drawing for each of the 28 hidden Grinches. We ask everyone, again, please come out, please support our local businesses. They need us now more than ever. And if you're, very few scarce dollars will be spent this holiday season. And we just hope you will come out and shop local and shop Ridgewood. And finally, as always, we do want to wish everyone happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all the best to stay safe, be healthy, mask up. And hopefully 2021 kicks off on a much better note when we put 2020 behind us. Although there were actually a lot of positive things that happened in 2020. I think we've been doing wedding after wedding, officiating wedding after wedding, many births, beautiful babies. We welcome new people, new, infants. And there's a lot of positive. And I think we found that many people have found their footing in new relationships they forge, new friendships, and we've all learned to do Zoom and try to navigate these different parts of technology. So they're in all the dark and dreariness of 2020. I think there's a lot of positive that's come out of it, and we've seen neighbor helping neighbor and an extending of each other to strangers. And so for that, we should all be grateful. And again, happy holidays and looking forward to 2021. Okay, with that, as I figure out where we are.
Okay, so there are no ordinances for Ridgewood Water. We'll move on to the resolutions for Ridgewood Water. The following resolutions, number 20-365 through 20-388, are to be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the Village Council. They will be read by title only. Title 59, approval, servicing and repair of electric stores, or contract, servicing and repair of electric stores. Title 59, approval, landscaping services, or contract, landscaping services. Title 59, approval, furnishing and delivering of sodium hypochlorite. Award contract, furnishing and delivering of sodium hypochlorite. Title 59, approval, line stop and valve insertion services. Award contract, line stop and valve insertion services. Title 59, approval, pipe appurtenances and service materials. Award contract, pipe appurtenances and service materials. Title 59, approval, annual PFAS laboratory analysis services. Award contract, annual PFAS laboratory analysis services. Title 59 approval, tree maintenance services. Award contract, tree maintenance services. Title 59 approval, cold water meters. Award contract, cold water meters. Award contract under state contract, chlorine and phosphate analyzers. Award contract under state contract, aerial mapping. Award contract, milling and paving of Garrett Place in Midland Park. Award professional services contract, hydrogeologic consulting services. Award professional services contract, design and construction administration of 20 PFAS treatment and improvement. Award additional year of contract, servicing and repair of potable water pumping facilities. Authorized change order, professional engineering services for Farview and East Side Station improvements. Reject bid, laboratory analysis services. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes.
Okay, the following resolution number 20-389 will be considered separately and read in full. Whereas there exists a need for interior and exterior partial demolition of the Elks Club property as recommended by RSCA Architects to proceed in advance of the construction bid. And whereas Adama Brothers Construction, Inc. has submitted the lowest price quotation of the bids received. Now therefore be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that the Elks Club interior and exterior partial demolition be and is hereby awarded to Adama Brothers Construction, Inc., 1033 Alexander Avenue, Ridgefield, New Jersey, in an amount not to exceed $40,500. And be further resolved that the Chief Financial Officer has certified that funds are available in the water capital under account number W-06-55-594-712. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
No.
and Newton. I didn't hear you, Mayor.
I'm sorry, like, felt like I lost my voice. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Affirmative, yes.
Oh.
I suddenly feel like I'm losing my voice. I'm sorry, apologies. Okay, very good.
Right.
We're moving on to ordinances. Are you okay? You ready, Heather?
I am.
Very good. I move the first reading of ordinance 3833.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes. The order, ordinance 3833 by title.
An ordinance to amend Chapter 265 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood Vehicles and Traffic at Section 265-59, Schedule 9, stop intersections.
I move that ordinance 3833 be adopted on first reading and that January 13th, 2021 be fixed as a date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Perrin,
You're on mute, Pam.
Sorry. Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes. I move the first reading of ordinance 3834.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes. So would the clerk please read ordinance 3834 by title?
An ordinance of the Village of Ridgewood authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with Ridgewood Senior Citizen Housing Corporation, Inc. and Ridgecrest Urban Renewal LLP, granting a tax exemption for Ridgecrest Senior Citizen Housing.
I move that ordinance 3834 be adopted on first reading and that January 13th, 2021 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3824 by title on second reading and the public hearing will be open.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3824?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 215, Peace and Good Order of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood at Section 215-2, Public Places, and Section 215-7, Municipal Parking Facilities.
The public hearing is now open.
we have any public?
Please raise your hand. Nobody's raising their hand.
No one?
Oh, wait, we got one. Alina Swanson, please unmute.
Good evening. Name and address for the record, please.
Alina Swanson, 179 Claremont Road. And I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening. I've been attending village council meetings for the past month, and I want to thank you all for your service.
Alina? Alina,
yes?
We're in the middle of a public hearing. And we're having a public hearing right now on Ordinance 3824.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought it was a
no,
public comment. I'll take it back.
And then come back later. No worries. But
okay.
Okay. Anyone else on peace and good order?
Yeah, we're clear. No others.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Okay, very good. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Perrin? I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Whedon?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3824 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second.
Perrin?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Whedon?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes. I move the clerk read Ordinance 3825 by title on second reading and the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Perrin?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Whedon?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of Ordinance 3825?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 145 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood fees at Section 145-6, enumeration of fees relating to code chapters.
Very good. The public hearing is now open.
I'm showing none.
Good. I move the public hearing be closed.
A second?
Like we can't, I don't think we
And
can
here, Pam.
Okay. Second.
Okay. Perrin?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Whedon?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3825 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Perrin?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Whedon?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes. I move the clerk read Ordinance 3826 by title on second reading and the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Perrin?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Whedon?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of Ordinance 3826?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 265 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood Vehicles and Traffic at Section 265-33, permit parking.
Okay. In section C7 of this ordinance, the second sentence currently reads, parking rates still apply from 3 p.m. until 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, and payment must be made, close quote. This should be amended to read, parking rates still apply from 12 p.m. noon, Monday through Friday, and payment must be made. This is not a substantive change, so I will ask the motion to amend the ordinance.
I move that the ordinance 3826 be amended as outlined by the mayor just now.
Second.
This is to amend. Perrin?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Whedon?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes. The public hearing on Ordinance 3826 as amended is now open.
I am showing none.
I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Perrin?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Whedon?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton?
Yes.
3826 as amended be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Perrin?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Whedon?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton?
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3827 by title on second reading and the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Knudsen.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3827?
An ordinance to fix salaries, wages, and other compensation of non-union employees of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey for the year 2020.
Hearing is now open.
I am showing none.
Okay, all good. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Knudsen.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3827 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Knudsen.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3828 by title on second reading, the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Knudsen.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3828?
An ordinance to fix salaries, wages, and other compensation and to establish the employee agreement of certain non-union officers and employees of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey for the year 2020.
Very good. The public hearing is now open.
I'm showing none.
I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Knudsen.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3828 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Knudsen.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3829 by title on second reading, the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
Knudsen.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3829?
An ordinance to fix salaries, wages, and other compensation of non-union employees of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey for the year 2021.
Very good. The public hearing is now open.
I'm showing none.
Good. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
Knudsen.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3829 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
Knudsen.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3830 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
Knudsen.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3830?
An ordinance to fix salaries, wages, and other compensation and to establish an employee agreement of certain non-union officers and employees of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey for the year 2021.
The public hearing is now open.
I'm showing none.
Very good. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Knudsen.
Yes.
3830 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
Knudsen.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3831 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be open.
Have a second?
Second.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I keep seeing unstable on my
All right, Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes, will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3831?
An ordinance to amend salary ordinance 3608, fixing the salaries, wages, and other compensation for white-collar employees, and to amend salary ordinance 3618, fixing salaries, wages, and other compensation of and for the supervisory employees, and to amend salary ordinance 3752, fixing salaries, wages, and other compensation, and to establish the employee agreement of certain non-union officers and employees, and to amend salary ordinance 3753, fixing salaries, wages, and other compensation, and to establish the employee agreement of certain non-union employees of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, and the State of New Jersey.
Very good. The public hearing is now open.
I'm showing none.
Will the public hearing be closed?
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3831 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3832 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes, will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3832?
An ordinance authorizing a special emergency appropriation in the amount of $2,047,254 or such other amount certified by the Director of the Division of Local Government Services for the purposes set forth in NJSA 48:4-53L and/or NJSA 48:4-53M in and by the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey.
Public hearing is now open.
I'm showing none.
Very good. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Pam seconded that. We can't hear Pam.
Pam can't hear you.
Second.
Okay, now I hear you. Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3832 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes.
Okay. The following resolutions numbered 20-390 through 20-415, with the exception of resolution 20-397, which has been removed from the agenda, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the village council. They will be read by title only. Approved 2021 Village Cash Management Plan. Designated official newspapers for 2021. 2021 Annual Meeting Statement. Award contract, preparation of 2021 Village Council meeting minutes. Award contract, water pollution control facility facade repairs. Award contract, replacement of doors at water pollution control facility. Award contract, disposal of street sweepings. Award additional amount of contract, yard waste disposal. Award professional services contract, annual maintenance contract for software for finance department. Award professional services contract, risk management consultants. Award professional services contract, employee assistance program. Award contract under the interlocal purchasing system, streaming production of village council meetings. Authorized shared services agreement, TV inspection of sanitary sewer mains with the Northwest Bergen County Utilities Authority. Authorized shared services agreement, barbershop, beauty shop, and nail salon inspections with the Borough of Norwood. Declare property surplus, various fire department equipment. Declare property surplus, Division of Solid Waste Packer Truck. Approve 2020 budget transfers. Approve annual renewal of liquor licenses. Appoint Joint Insurance Fund Commissioner. Appoint Public Agency Compliance Officer. Appoint members to Open Space Committee. Appoint members to Project Pride Committee. Appoint members to Central Business District Advisory Committee. Appoint members to Stigma Free Task Force, and appoint members to Green Ridgewood Committee. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Knudsen.
Yes.
And as I stated, resolution 20-397 is removed completely.
Noted. Very good. And with that, we'll go back to public comments from the public, not to exceed 5 minutes per person.
Please raise your hand if you'd like to speak. Okay, first person is Jeannie Johnson. Please unmute.
Unmute, Jeannie.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Johnson, 325 Maston Place, Ridgewood, of course. And I'm so nervous about this, but since there's no longer a reputable news source in Ridgewood, it's easy to disseminate misinformation, especially from the dais at our village council meetings. So I want to share some information that might clear up some details regarding the health barn situation. Several weeks ago, the village manager called the owner of Health Barn and informed her that she could sign a 1-year lease extension, but would not be given the courtesy to rebid an additional 5-year lease as was recommended in the original lease agreement. Apparently, the council did not want to pursue the relationship between the village and Health Barn, and no one has been able to tell us why. Several council members have visited the Health Barn over the last few weeks, and some have informed the owner of Health Barn that there isn't anything anyone can do to change this situation. Evidently, the council seems to want Health Barn out of Habernickel. Naturally, as a tenant, this is disconcerting, and the Health Barn owner has reached out to the village manager numerous times to no avail. Community members have been told by reliable sources a variety of stories about why the village is reluctant to allow Health Barn to remain at Habernickel, but none of them make sense, especially from a fiscal point of view. So members of this council have claimed that they are committed to complete transparency. And if that's true, then why are these Health Barn discussions taking place behind closed doors? And why in the world is someone from the council calling residents to discuss this issue? And why are they intimidating these residents and threatening them to stay quiet? Is this how we want our governing body to represent us? I'm requesting that the terms of the Health Barn lease be discussed in open public session on January the 6th, and I'm requesting that the owner of Health Barn be allowed to rebid an additional 5-year lease agreement before February of 2021, because it's going to take her a long time to find a new home. And the sooner she finds out if she can stay at Habernickel, then the sooner she can continue doing the great work that she does for our community. And if she is not allowed to stay there, she needs to find a new home, and she needs time to do that. So I just am asking with every bit of respect that I have. And by the way, I do want to just tell all of you how much I respect the time and effort that you put forth volunteering for us. I mean, again, I don't always agree with the decisions that you make, but I certainly do respect the time and effort that you put into volunteering for us. But the most important thing during your volunteer work, I just really beg of you to recognize that it is your obligation to govern according to what the majority requests. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie. Anyone else, Dylan?
Anybody? Yes. Lena Swanson, please
Hi.
unmute.
Hi, Alina.
Hi, everyone. It's Alina Swanson again. 179 Claremont Road. as I started to mention earlier, I've been attending village council meetings now for the past month. And it's been wonderful listening to everybody calling in to show their support of Health Barn and how valuable an organization it is, and how amazing Stacy Antine is giving back to our community. So it's clear that the discussions, well, I believe in closed session, it's been made clear that she has the right to extend the 1-year lease, which she has executed. Then what else is being discussed in closed session? If that's already been addressed, the extension was done, then why does Health Barn continue to appear in closed session on your agendas? I ask that the secrecy, I feel there's so much secrecy going on. It needs to move to open session. And if you're considering an alternative use of that gatehouse, our community deserves to know that and needs to be part of that conversation. And now that the lease is extended 1 year, that RFP process needs to begin so that Health Barn is given an opportunity to go forward to bid, just like every other organization that may want to have a purpose or a role there. So I just ask that, I just feel like there's so much secrecy and so much happening behind the scenes in our community. Obviously, everybody's calling in saying how much they love Health Barn, and yet it's complete silence from our village council. And it makes me really upset that this is being treated in this manner. We deserve better, and I want to see this in open session, and I would see you move forward for an RFP. Thank you.
Thank you, Alina.
All right. Next is up Boyd Loving. Please unmute.
Good evening. Name and address for the record.
Good evening, Good evening, Boyd Loving, 342 South Irving Street. The Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey requires you to place an item on the agenda indicating when you are going to discuss a closed session topic about a particular instance. Since this council took office on July 1st, there have been 15 village council meetings. I've noted one item on December 2nd of this year where 1057 Hillcrest Road was discussed in closed session. One time in 15 meetings was this item on the agenda. These people who are calling up suggesting that you were violating the law because you were discussing something in closed session without properly noticing it, if they have evidence to support this, they need to go to the authorities. I personally believe that this council is not in violation of the law, and the December 2nd instance of one item on the closed session agenda, 1057 Hillcrest Road contract discussions, was the only time you discussed it in closed session. The comments that are being made suggesting that you are violating the law are reaching the point that they are slanderous, in my opinion, and they have got to stop. The mayor has mentioned on 2 separate occasions that there are no closed session discussions regarding extending the lease of Health Barn that are taking place. People have got to believe this. Again, if there is anyone out there who has evidence that the village council is violating the law, they need to go to the proper authorities. I personally don't think that that's happening. I personally think that the December 2nd instance was the only instance in which you discussed it in closed session, and that the comments again are approaching to be slanderous in nature and need to stop. It is bad for the community to have this happen. They've got to stop now. If they don't, I would suggest that the village attorney take appropriate action to make them stop. It's a bunch of lies and it's got to stop. Thank you.
Thank you.
And hold on 1 second. I'm having an issue.
Mayor, somebody who already spoke is raising their hand again.
No, I think that whoever's next in the hopper, and that's it, we stay in the queue.
That was Lovings were the last one, and then somebody who already spoke before them wants to speak again.
Yeah.
Is raising their hand.
I'm sorry?
They want to speak again. It's a repeat of another person.
That's already just spoke in this last session?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not, we don't do second bite at the apple. That's public comment. Go ahead, who's next?
It's not somebody else in their household. I know that sometimes the Lovings will.
Yeah, let's make sure that it's not someone else in the house.
No, they lowered their hand.
Very good.
There's no others.
Okay, very good. So we're going to end public comment there. I am going to state that the comment by Jeannie Johnson was not only unfounded. I have to once again, to open a statement about the spread of misinformation and then proceed to spread additional misinformation is astonishing. And it really is important that a conversation between a village manager, a landlord, and a tenant is between the landlord and the tenant. And I'm unclear how that information, obviously it's the old telephone game, who told this person to that person. But it is my belief, based on our conversations in closed session, that the village manager once again took her instruction from the village council to make a determination as to whether or not the tenant wanted to extend a lease, exercise an option to extend a lease. To make allegations that were made here tonight by Ms. Johnson are inappropriate. It's outrageous. It's just outrageous. And it really does need to end. I will correct Mr. Loving, because I do think that we discussed health porn in 2 closed sessions, my recollection. And in those 2 closed sessions, again, this was discussion of the exercising of the option and another discussion about contract and again, extending that option. So I don't think that this is anything that is in violation of the law. I'm pretty confident that we are in absolute compliance with OPMA, and we'll go from there. And with that, we'll take a resolution to go into closed session.
Okay. Be resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that the Village Council meet in closed session on December 9th, 2020 at 8 p.m. or soon thereafter as the matter on the agenda can be reached. And the said closed session be held via Zoom teleconferencing due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Be it further resolved that the matters to be discussed in closed session are limited to legal matters to include tax appeal, pond review, medical settlement, and personnel matters to include contract, personnel, professional services contract for firearms range. These matters are allowable under NJSA 10:4-12 et sec. And be it further resolved that the minutes of this meeting shall be made available to the general public when such matters have been deemed completed by resolution of the Village Council. May I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so hold on. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Thank you.
Everyone, happy holidays, safe, be healthy.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.